Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody? Welcome to another episode of Roll Around, Find Out. In today's episode, I had the pleasure of talking and learning with David from Diablo to D&D. I am appreciative of his time and letting me tap into his expertise on everything Diablo. I've mentioned here and there about my love for Diablo, the classes, skill trees, themes, etc. Oh, the gear. I gushed on Diablo gear. And so any attempt I would have to make a Diablo TTRPG is just dwarfed by what David has done. His knowledge and passion are evident throughout. I'll have his contact information in the description, and you really should go and follow him. I hope you enjoy listening to this conversation as much as I did having it. Welcome to the show, David of Diablo to D&D. How are you today?
Oh, I am doing just fine. I spent some time sleeping and woke up, and now I'm here.
11 o'clock for you. Is this early?
Can be, or it could not be. It really depends on what time I went to bed last night.
Sure.
Which for me, it was like 2 o'clock, 2:30.
Sure.
It's my day off, so.
Well, tell everybody what you're about, the Diablo to D&D process and everything else.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am David, and I run the Diablo to D&D YouTube channel. I have been adapting the official crossover from 2000 and 2001 between Diablo and Dungeons and Dragons into the new edition, which is currently 5th edition, and when the new rules release in 2024, I will be updating the crossover into those rules to see level progressions and whatnot.
Have you been snooping around on the new rule set?
Oh, I have been paying very, very close attention. My preferred job would be game designer, and this is a passion project for me. I don't expect to make any money from this, but I've been kind of trying to build up a portfolio to make myself look a bit more attractive to third-party creators so that I can present myself and hopefully get a job.
I mean, from what I know, you're off to a good start. You're doing some pretty awesome stuff.
Thank you.
First official question I have here is, what is your history with Diablo? When did you start or first hear about it?
Well, let me introduce you to my introduction to Diablo. I remember buying this from a friend of mine at the lunch table in high school back in 2007, 2008, 2006, something like that, for $2. It took me a long time to realize, but this is version 1.0, and I believe the release version is 1.17. So either this was a very hacked version, or you got a hold of some content from before an alpha. I don't have set items. I don't have runes, which was LOD, but my mercenary stock doesn't refresh. Like, I ran through so many mercenaries, and the people just stopped letting me hire. I have been I've been playing since then. As far as I know, the thing still works. But I've been playing Diablo 2 since then. I played Diablo 3 probably 5 or 6 years after it released. Jumped in season like 17, 18, I think. And then I've been playing Diablo 3 since then, and Diablo 4 since before it technically released. I have the Ashava Claw mount trophy. I was there at the beginning, watching the development process, reading their blogs that they'd put out. I love the story. I love the games. I'm a big fan.
Awesome. I was a Diablo 2 fanboy in college. Yeah, staying up way too late, missing classes, sleeping in. Like it was a sickness. It really was. But I haven't kept up with it since then. I think whatever the mobile was, that Immortal.
Immortal.
I think I played that for a little bit, but it's not the same.
No.
Yeah. Of all your versions, or editions, do you have a favorite?
I am the kind of person who says each one has their own attractiveness. I like this thing from this game. I like that one from that game. I blasted Diablo 3 for a long, long time. I like the tone of Diablo 2. I like the gearing system of Diablo 2. I like the story. But as for a favorite, I don't know if I could.
Is it like picking your favorite child? You just can't do it.
I don't have kids, so I'll take your word for it, or my mom's word for it, or. But I have a different emotional connection to each of the games. I'm emotionally connected to Diablo 4 because I was there at the beginning, a year and a half ago when they released it. I have fond memories of Diablo 3. I have high school memories of Diablo 2. So,
it's all good. They're all
all good. They're all good. Different reasons.
Cool. I've dabbled talking about Diablo on my podcast. But go over all your books you have, all the official D&D books that you own.
Oh boy. So I love collecting, and I love game manuals. Like I sat down and read a Doom manual at a secondhand store while my mom was shopping. I've never played Doom. I had no interest in playing Doom. It's just, oh, this is a game manual. I want to read it. So I actually have the Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction game manuals. But the one that I picked up first was the Diablo Re. This was the D&D crossover, essentially player's handbook. And from there, I just kind of kept my eye out for some of the other ones. And then years later, I realized, I could just buy these on Amazon, and picked up the other two. I've got To Hell and Back, which was the DM guide and monster manual. And then, of course, the original one, well, not the original one, the original book, not booklet, The Awakening, The Awakening. The only one I'm missing is, I have the box set from the original one, from the original crossover. I'm missing the minis, and I am missing the Bloodstone Tomb. And I believe that is all of the Diablo crossover content that I'm missing. And then I go over this in one of my videos, Mail Day 3. But I picked up the Player's Handbook, the Monster Manual, and the Dungeon Master's Guide for 3rd edition, so that I understand the context of what they were actually building in the Diablo Re and To Hell and Back. And let me tell you, it's like opening the book to the universe. It was a foreign language, and then suddenly, oh my goodness, things make sense. This is what power attack is, and cleave, and great cleave, and it's been fascinating to watch or to see going from fifth edition back to third. I'm much more familiar with fifth edition, even though I played briefly in third edition. But it is amazing to see. Oh, this is this ability that they moved into this feat or this feature. Power attack became your great weapon master and whatnot. Let's see. I think that's all the actual materials that I have.
I don't know where it originally came from, but I know that there's a cow level book.
Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about that. Yes, the secret cow level. It's a one shot. It drops you in the middle of Moo Farm, and there's like 150 cows, and they have a stat block. I go over this again in Mail Day 1, but you get dropped in the middle of like these massive cow packs, and it is just go, build a butcher shop and have fun. Oh, it's once I'm done with the campaign that I'm testing, I am going to drop them in the middle of the Moo Farm, and they are going to have an absolute blast. Just, I don't know, fireball, stab something.
Only playing Diablo 2, that was like what was the deal? Like you couldn't get the king cow's crown or something?
Cow King's leathers. Yeah, the Cow King's leathers were the rarest item set in the game, because in the original Diablo, they changed it for Diablo 2 Resurrected, which was good game design. In the original one, you could only get the Cow King's leathers from the Cow King, but it was a rare drop, and you could only access it once the Cow King was dead. The Moo Farm was cut off for you for that difficulty. It was a set of 3: the boots, the chest, and the head. And yeah, once you had one shot per difficulty to actually get it, and otherwise create a new character and run through it again.
Yeah. The nostalgia is just flowing through me right now. You mentioned it. I don't know if it's necessarily the best order for this question, but tell us about this campaign.
Oh, excellent. In each of my videos, I actually go over the campaign update. That's one of the first things I talk about: the introduction, campaign update, change log, and then the main event. Let's see. When I started this campaign, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to run through the story of Diablo 2 because it's nice and set up. It's essentially a module. And then I got to Hell and Back, and that's literally what they're running you through is Diablo 2. They don't have Act 5, which was the expansion. But I have been able to very, very easily adapt this material into the actual campaign. The fun thing about this is I have had, of all the players that I've had, some have rotated in and out. I have had exactly one person out of like 5 or 6 that has ever played Diablo. The other ones are just, yeah, you're a friend of mine, I'll sit down and play with you. The ones that are currently playing are people I've known for years. But I had one player who actually got me. One second. I completely forgot about this. He got me the I don't know if I can show this to you. It's the Oh shoot.
Is it the butcher?
He's not the butcher. Who's the guy in Tristram? Starts with a G.
Oh.
Yeah, Griswold.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Griswold.
yep.
Yeah. The player had a 3D printer, and so he made Griswold. He had Andariel, and let me tell you, that was a boss fight. Oh my goodness, that was a boss fight.
Is that the
So
one with like 4 arms?
4 arms,
Yep.
yeah. She big poison spray. She's the end of Act 1. The kind of some meta stuff before going into particular details. The I have told my players things are going to change. This is a playtest. Things might get tweaked, perhaps in the middle of a session. The Andariel fight, the Andariel stat block changed significantly in the middle of the fight. She went from being a, pretty decent CR4 creature to having legendary actions and like double the hit points. And this was a genuine boss fight. This felt like, oh, you're level 15 and you're facing down the Lich and whatnot. It was phenomenal. Oh, it was so much fun. Beyond that, the campaign has been going fairly smoothly. They're currently in the Arcane Sanctuary, and I've had to tweak a handful of things because with the, you know what? Let me just show it to you. Let me just show you the structure of how the campaign is going. All right. So these are the content files. I'll talk about how to get to them later. DM notes. So what I have done is, you can see I've got my Act 1, Act 2, 3, 4, and 5 quests. And then I've got them set up. You've got 4 quests each act, give them a level up. And then, of course, have they taken it and have they completed it? So the Forgotten Tower, which was the Countess, I believe, and Tools of the Trade, which was returning the Herodric Malice to Charcy, those do not offer level ups, but they do offer loot and benefits. And
these terms are coming back to me.
That's good. So yeah, that's kind of what I've done, is just kind of split them up into 4 give level ups, 2 give loot, and the loot ones are always optional. But I've had to tweak and massage and kind of give them as options rather than as I don't want to say railroad, because it is a module. They know that there's some amount of railroading, but in fact, they did the Forgotten Tower on the way back from the Sisters to the Slaughter quest, killing Andariel. So they were actually a level above what they were supposed to be, and it went fairly well until one of the assassins was at low health and decided to charge into combat and got beaten over the head by the Countess. But
well, you make choices.
You make choices. You do stupid, you get stupid. So sorry, side tangent. Fun fact about that one: that was the second character death that happened with the same player, and his first character was killed by the choices or by the actions of another player, he accidentally set the house on fire and it burned down around them because there was a nat there was a nat 20 from a skeleton who dropped him in the middle of a burning house, and the other player wouldn't be able to get his body out, so he burned to death. Nat ones are a pain sometimes.
Well,
But
that's the game.
That is the game. So let's see some of the fun facts about some of these quests. The let's see, Sister's Burial Ground, search for Cain. Let's see, actually, okay, let's go with Tainted Sun. Tainted Sun was actually pretty fun. That's where the Claw Vipers had gotten a hold of the it's the amulet, the Herodric amulet, something that you need. It's half the key that you need to get to the axe boss. But what I did was I pulled out a hex grid and I said, okay, here's Loot Go Lane in the center. And then here's just this massive amount of desert out there. And you guys are going to be traveling. You have like 3 days of supplies. You can spend a day and search a hex, or you can spend 2 days and have disadvantage and search both hexes, or move 2 hexes and search both, or you can just not search and move 3 hexes. And they had little way stations out there to find the different altars that the Claw Vipers had set up. So they did a hex crawl for that one. Some of the other ones that they haven't. Let's see, they're currently on the Summoner. So Arcane Sanctuary. I'm going to stop sharing right now. The Arcane Sanctuary, it splits off into 4 paths, and there is one that looks like MC Escher got a hold of it. There's one that has just regular stairs. There's one that has, I'm trying to think, teleporters, portals, and then there's one that has. I'm trying to not give spoilers so that my players don't know what's going on. There's another one that has a mysterious pillar, column, tower thing off in the distance. So the way that I've made the Arcane Sanctuary interesting is that, one, I've limited their vision. They can only see 100 feet in any direction, which kind of makes sense because this is intended to confuse and trap enemies, because Horizon was absolutely paranoid that people would find him, that the demons that he was summoning and enslaving would rebel against him. So here's a way to kind of bring some atmosphere. When they got to the Arcane Sanctuary, they said, okay, let's pick a path. Let's go with the MC Escher stairs. And if you guys don't know who MC Escher is, he's the artist that creates 3-dimensional looking drawings in 2 dimensions that don't make sense. So you have a waterfall that feeds itself, stairs that are always going down, and that's the path that they picked. So we had what my one of my players described as 2.5-dimensional combat, because it was gravity and the platforms they were on worked oddly. Like, you could go downstairs in both directions from one platform to the other. If you tried jumping a gap, you could end up on the bottom of the other platform. And so there were times when they were somebody was on the top, and then there were goat men on the bottom, and so they had to kind of walk off and loop over the side and onto the underside. of the platform, and it was an absolute blast to run.
It sounds like it. Is this from the book or all from your head or both?
The Arcane Sanctuary is actually not detailed terribly much in the book. It just says, it basically just says, here's the Arcane Sanctuary, here's the boss fight, spoilers, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, it literally just fixed encounters, the waypoint, the summoner, the portal, and fighting the boss, and then the stat block.
You're making me feel like a bad DM because that's awesome.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, it took a lot of sitting there and in silence trying to figure out how to make this thing interesting, because in Diablo 2, it's all programmed for you. It's all there. There's nothing really interesting about it. So I was like, this is intended to be weird. Let's throw in something to make it more environmentally friendly, environmentally interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
And that's actually something that I've been falling in love with DMing, is the use of environment. I give cover. I do difficult terrain. I talk about using the environment to your advantage. You want to knock somebody off the platform, you can just knock them off the platform. I've never really done that as a player, because a lot of the encounters that I've had are just kind of this blank room. But being able to pick up a chair and smash it over somebody's head, or setting fire to the tree that they're in, it makes it interesting.
Yeah. I'm not currently playing in a campaign, but a friend and I are playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm.
And from that perspective, it is interesting of getting the high ground and distance really mattering. A negative to it is in my brain, when I play and I do like fog cloud, that's like relatively effective. But in Baldur's Gate, you cast fog cloud and then they just move like out of the cloud on their next turn. And you're like, well, that was a total waste.
Yeah. I've so for the poison necro, one of my players has necromancers on rotation. So he'll do a summoner one long rest, and then he'll swap out for poison, and then he'll swap out for his bone necromancer. Each of my players, I only have three. I only have three players at the moment, so they're playing multiple characters. And I said, look, if you want to just create any number of characters, go ahead. I'd expect you to have at least two, so that we have at least a party of 4, so that I can properly test these. The poison necromancer has, I think at level 6 they get Stinking Cloud, and then at level 14 they get Cloud Kill. And one of the during one of the fights, the player goes, cool, I'm gonna fighting the claw vapors, I'm gonna drop Stinking Cloud. And the because he gets to decide who is affected, that's kind of one of my philosophies for right now, is in area of effects, the player gets to decide who's affected. The other player, who was playing an Amazon, freaking boss killer, she's like, he said, wait a second, I have this level 1 ability called Inner Sight, where I can sense the location of creatures. That means I don't get disadvantage on weapon attacks, right? Because I can sense them. Yes, indeed. So their plans have basically been, okay, I'm going to drop Stinking Cloud. The Amazon's going to stand in the middle and just start sniping these creatures from inside. And it has been an absolute pain to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the creatures, they're decently intelligent. I don't want to be around in this cloud of poison, so I'm going to walk out of it. So it's playtesting. It's finding that nice build for what I want to do with this.
Sure. Is the end goal to get to Diablo?
The end goal is to get to Bale. I'm going full on to Act 5. This in that level progression that I showed you, the quest lines essentially. I went from level 1 to level 20, and they're going to be testing absolutely everything. I want to test each of their abilities to the fullest of their to the fullest extent that I possibly can, because I believe in everything being tested. I don't want to release an ability that is so game breaking, even at higher levels. Like the assassin, they get venom at level 19 as their capstone ability. They just deal a flat 3d4 poison damage on each attack. So if you're dual wielding, you go attack for extra attack, and then you attack again, you're dealing an additional 12d4 damage. Is that balanced? Is that too powerful? You're level 19. Who knows?
Sure. I think the highest I've ever played is, whatever the statistical average is, level 11.
Yeah, something
10
like
or
that.
11. Yeah, so I'll just trust the game designers that it's balanced, but kudos to you to actually go through with all of it.
The first character that I played, like in an actual campaign, I took to level 20. Now, that was largely because the DM had a system called player experience points. Anytime the player did something awesome, one of the other players could say, I've got a stack of like 5 chips, and I'm going to give you an XP. And so I use the environment to my advantage. I put the bucket over the person's head and smash it with my hammer. Something interesting. Here's an experience point for being creative or for good role playing. And we could turn those in for items, for levels, and whatnot. So I dumped pretty much all of my points into levels, because I'm not really an item person. I think items are interesting, but I very much want to see. I want to get those class abilities, because those class abilities, that is what I'm playing this character for. And the items are kind of this. They're nice. So yeah, by the end of the campaign, I was level 20, and I had 3 magical items. I had my it's not Keep of the Mountebank. What was it? The Robe of the Archmagi. He was a wizard. He was a Robe of the Archmagi, Staff of Thunder and Lightning. I knocked a chimera out of the air with that one. I am so proud of that moment. It's moving.
Awesome.
I get an opportunity attack. Yeah. And then my third magical item, I used it less and less as the campaign went on, but we all started with a essentially +1 magical weapon. I chose brass knuckles.
As a wizard?
As a wizard. Yes. I'm just, where is it? Let me introduce you to Brad. I don't know if you can see those. I don't know if you can see those stats, but that is a 16 in strength.
Amazing.
Brad was a Oh, he was such a fun character to play. He took Tavern Brawler at level 1, 16 strength. His backstory is that he was he attended wizard school for a while, got bored, and then left and ended up becoming the 3-time regional boxing champion. And his brass knuckles, his magic brass knuckles were a significant part of my damage. I talked to the DM and said, "Look, Shocking Grasp is a touch attack, right? So touch, I have to make contact, right? So what if it's high velocity with this part of the body?" And so he said, "Okay, fine." So I was able to cast Shocking Grasp into my knuckles and hit them. So I was dealing at level 1 a minimum of 7 damage if I actually connected. I was attacking with strength, but I was dealing damage with intelligence. So I was actually less accurate, but more damage. So I say it was balanced, and it really wasn't, but it was still a ton of fun.
Well, I'm sure if you factor in if it's melee distance, you probably have less weaker armor, less hit points.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted the Robe of the Archmagi, because surprisingly enough, even with a 12 AC and okay, my Constitution was 16. I was the off tank for the party. I was the off tank for the party. Like I said, I had the I had the Tavern Brawler feat. I could grapple as a bonus action. I was in the thick of it, and I didn't go down or I maybe one time in the entire campaign.
I have never thought of playing an off-brand, off-theme character. That does sound like a lot of fun.
Oh, it is a ton of fun. Yeah, so the 2 fun facts I throw out there, well, the 3 fun facts I throw out there was the fact that I was the off tank and a grappler. But also, 1, I was playing an evocation wizard, but I took Fireball at 17th level because I just never had a need for it, because I had the Staff of Thunder and Lightning. I was always in melee. And my preferred spell was Animate Dead.
To get more buddies?
To get more buddies. We one-shotted, well, not one-shot, but we one-rounded a Hydra that the DM had set up as the boss, because we move into this castle tracking down this vampire lady, and there were bodies everywhere in the basement. So we spend 3 days building up this massive army to fight this Hydra. The champion fighter rushes in, slash critical. One of the other players throws like this ice bomb, and then me and the cleric, drow cleric, send in our army of undead, and it's just, well, boss is gone. And then the Hydra explodes in a bunch of acidic blood, and all of our skeletons are gone. And we found a lot fewer bodies after that.
Well, DMs, that's you got them the first time, but yeah.
Yeah, we got that castle, and we raised some of the undead to help rebuild it. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Funny, leveling up characters. Yeah, I like class abilities, but my number one thing that I'm looking forward to in the new Diablo TTRPG, I'm hoping you know more details than me, because I know next to nothing, but Diablo 2 I loved the gear grind. Just I want a helmet, I want gloves, I want boots, and give me a little buff here. If I'm wearing 2 pieces, give me a bigger buff, and I have the full set. I've earned it. I want an aura of whatever, and I want my strength boosted. That's what I'm hoping this new one has.
Yeah, I've been paying. I mean, there's precious little information on the new Diablo TTRPG, which makes me very sad. But as details come out, I think they said it is going to be released at Gamescom. Is it Gamescom or BlizzCon? BlizzCon next year, I think.
Oh, I thought this year.
It might be this year, but it's coming out soon. TM. Whether we'll find out that is Blizzard soon or not, we don't know. But I want to get it. I want to get it so badly. The creators have mentioned that it will not be compatible with 5th edition or I believe Vampire the Masquerade, and which makes me kind of sad, but also it's interesting because there are other systems out there besides the D20 system. I know I'm not terribly familiar with other systems. Most of the ones I've played Pathfinder, I've played Dungeons and Dragons, clearly. But I know Vampire the Masquerade is a series of D10s, is a D10 system. I know the RuneScape TTRPG. I'm 20 plus year veteran of RuneScape. Heck yeah. But their TTRPG is a 3D6. And I believe the Avatar The Last Airbender TTRPG is also a 3D6. So we will see. We'll see what system it is, but I am very, very hyped for it because they said it is going to be encompassing all of Diablo.
I didn't know that. I assumed it was going to be on 4, but no. Okay, great.
No, it's they did say it's going to be taking inspiration from all of Diablo and quote a little bit you haven't seen. So
okay.
there might be some stuff in the future that that they're going to be releasing, some sneak peeks, as it were.
I am a casual of Rune Quester. I probably played for maybe a year. Do you own that game? The TTRPG?
RuneScape?
Oh, RuneScape. Sorry, RuneScape.
RuneScape, yes. No. Money was pretty tight for me, and I couldn't justify spending that much on it. I mean, it was only maybe $100 or so. I donate plasma to get a little bit of fun money, eating out and whatnot. But I'm just like, I really want it. I could probably find it online. It's probably being sold. It was a Kickstarter, I believe, but I missed out on the Kickstarter. But I'm sure I could pick up. I'm sure I could pick it up pretty easily.
Are you a PDF guy, or you got to have the physical book?
I like having the physical book so that I can put it on my bookshelf. But I'm very much a computer person. I use D&D Beyond. Once I found the ease of using a computer for it, I almost never go back.
Yeah. Before recording, you said you were a collector. I dabble. Kind of proud. I just got the core books for 1st edition off eBay for $50 each, which I thought was okay, and they're in pretty good condition. I know I'm never gonna play it, but it looks nice on my shelf.
Yeah, I was at a yard sale a couple years ago, and I found AD&D books, 10 AD&D books, and I bought them for $1 a piece.
Oh my god.
And I sold them for $10 a piece.
Oh, David.
And they had the Cthulhu mythos.
Oh.
It was one of the first printings of the I don't know, Gods and Monsters, I think. And I sold it to somebody who actually runs AD&D. So like I know they're going to good hands, but Oh, I probably selling your birthright for a mess of pottage. Just it hurts me now.
That's bad, or too bad. Well, at the end of the day, you came out ahead on it.
Yeah, I made money. I still
Yeah.
have some of the minis though.
I have to get the basic box set, and then my collection will be complete.
Very
Just the
nice.
core books. I don't need the Fiend Folio and those other things. I just give me the core books.
That's all you need to run.
Yeah, which I never will. Again, they just look good on my shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely surprising that Gary Gygax had intended D&D to be played via mail.
Mm.
I only have one source for this, so don't quote me on it. But originally D&D was supposed to be you write down what you wanted to do and mail it to your dungeon master, and then he'll mail you back and say, "This is what you do."
There's a term for it that I forget. It might just be play by mail or play by post, I think is what it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
I have a friend that would do any Dungeons and Dragons with me. Another friend that he just doesn't have the time. He's interested in it, but just doesn't have the time. And we tried this for a while. It didn't ultimately work, but ever heard of the app Dungeon Realm?
I've heard of it.
So I'm very casual to it, but just anybody, you and anybody that's listening, it's totally worth checking out. It's like a play by post, but it's text messaging and it has dice rolling built into it.
Interesting.
It's been a while, and I think it's still in beta, so I don't know what new things they've added to it. If you can like plug in a character sheet and get bonuses for if it's a strength check. It's been so long, but if you have a friend that can't play virtually or in person or just doesn't have the time, you talking about that reminded me of Dungeon Realm.
Yeah, that's kind of I don't have a ton of time, but I've got 10 minutes on the bus or something like that.
Yep.
Interesting. Interesting.
Anything else you want to brag about the things that you've made? You had mentioned that it's not just for Dungeons and Dragons. You're working on other stuff.
Yes, actually, I have. Let me pull up. Let me see. Let me pull up some of my other creations. Let's see. Present. Let's go with this one. Share. That is the wrong one. That is the right one. So I have this little file right here, this classless level up. I played a homebrew campaign with one of my players is also DM. We kind of swap out. And we had an idea for a classless class, but essentially you'd get feats and items rather than class abilities. So just kind of you're a normal person, but you get feats and stuff. That's what Kith is. He was a Kithrin. He's imagine a feral hobbit with animal ears. And yeah, it was a ton of fun to play that one. Right here, I have the Star Wars RPG for the experiment class. That one I built for the Star Wars RPG. I had an idea for a character that I wanted to play. My roommate was running a campaign in the Star Wars RPG, and I said, "Look, I will only play if I can play a semi-intelligent animal." And so I built a semi-intelligent animal called a Sorin. If you know Pokemon, it looks kind of like a ferret and a Linoon mixed together. Just very small, compact, about 2.5 feet, very short. Think a badger, but psychic.
Scary.
And yeah, and then I built the class, which was very much like a monk. Now that I once I built the class out, it looked a lot like a monk. Let me pull up the actual one. Here it is. So this is the Sorin. Yeah, they're small. They're an animal, so they get unarmed weapon proficiency, but they can't get other weapons or armors. They can burrow, and they have limited telepathy. And then down here at the experiment class, you have your graft talent tree. You got adrenal implants, which bumps your movement. You have wings that allow you to fly. Dive bomb, which is move attack. Your natural weapons. Then you've got the enhancements, which is kind of bumping up your natural abilities. Your feral talent tree is just you go wild. And then psionics is increasing your mental capabilities. The flavor of this is that you've been captured and experimented on. They have stuck wings onto you, or additional adrenal glands, or bumped up your natural weapons so that you can attack with your claws that they've put onto you. And so I ended up with this nice little creature that could fly and burrow and could vaguely communicate with other people. And I'm so excited about that one. I never had a name because I was an animal, but we called him Fluffy, I think. Floof. That's what it was. It was Floof.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Some of the other ones that I have created. Let's see. I had an idea. I brainstormed a pit fiend paladin with one of my other friends, building a pit fiend race, playable race. It says Pathfinder here. It was Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, it's like you add your strength modifier to your intimidation and persuasion checks, and you have a flight speed of 60 feet, and you're large. And it was horribly unbalanced, but a blast to play. Right here, I've been wanting to build a dual-wielding shielder fighter. And it's things like your protection fighting style has an increased range of 5 feet, so you can protect somebody 10 feet away from you. You essentially give up your attack to be the tank. The sniper here, one of my other DMs has said that he would be interested in doing a campaign in a modern setting. So I wanted to do a sniper. So the character that I want to play, his name is Mark Spencer Mann, or Mark S. Mann, or Marksman. Former Marine sniper who had a run-in with an Ifrit who saw that he had fire powder on his hip and decided, you know what, I'm going to take up residence in your gun. And so his gun becomes the genie bottle, essentially. and the gun eventually becomes his his packed weapon, and he becomes a genie he becomes a Pact of the Blade genie warlock, or a G lock, or a Glock.
Oh my god.
Yes, this
David.
entire thing is a joke, and I love it. But
Unbelievable.
If you know me, it's very believable. But this is what I've built here. So this right here is your traditional Pact of the Warlock or Pact of the Blade warlock. You can get ranged weapons with improved packed weapon. But I was like, this is a modern setting. Let's see if I can tweak those numbers a bit. So I've got handgun rifle and sniper rifle. And these are basically the stats of your shortbow, longbow, heavy crossbow, and light crossbow that have been tweaked and moved around. But the idea is that I can channel my Eldritch Blast through my weapon. So it works with Sharpshooter and Spell Sniper. And so ultimately you end up with Eldritch Spear and Sharpshooter and Spell Sniper all adding together to get a massive 1,200 natural 1,200 foot range. And then this last little bit right here is if I had my way, here's some of the tweaks that I would put in. And I basically inserted the special property. The ammunition for this weapon comes from the spell Magic Stone. While loaded into the weapon, the spell doesn't end, but you use the range and damage of the weapon. So Magic Stone allows you to imbue certain stones with magic so that they deal, I think, 1d6 bludgeoning damage plus your spellcasting ability modifier. And so with the guns, I actually have to load them. So I can load up to like 5 shots into the handgun, 15 shots with the handgun, 30 for the rifle, and 10 for the sniper rifle. And so when I run out, I actually have to spend the bonus action to imbue more rocks or bullets, and then use my action to reload them. So it's actually a bit more balanced.
Yeah. That was going to be my question. Is it a bonus action or an action? But action to load, and what was the bonus action?
Magic Stone is a bonus action to cast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the intent is you cast Magic Stone, and then you can throw it. But in this case, it would be bonus action, cast, action to reload.
Got it.
And of course, you can go into combat or after combat and reload your gun so that you have it prepared.
Sure. Awesome.
Yeah, I think there's one final thing here. Yeah, the Sorcerer Bloodlines. I'm currently playing a Sea Sorcerer, but this one right here, the Undead. Oh, I am so proud of this one. This is the Undead playable races. I have a Ghast, a Ghost, a Ghoul, a Shadow, Skeleton, Will-O-Wisp, and Zombie. And I literally just went through the monster manual and said, which one of these could possibly be an adventuring character? And
this is for 5th edition?
Yes, this is for 5th edition. I actually have played a skeleton. That's what the Smolders on the previous screen. Smolders character sheet is I played a champion fighter skeleton who ended up after it was a short campaign, just kind of having fun, and he ended up with abilities and magical items that allowed him to crit on a 16 to 20 and could fire 6 shots down range per turn because he had an enchanted quiver with Swift Quiver, which is a ranger spell, but I could make 2 ranged attacks as a bonus action. And level 20 fighters get 4 attacks as their action. So yeah, 6 attacks. He was a howitzer. There we go. He was a howitzer. Beautiful.
I love this no gut and scavenge for parts. That's amazing.
Yeah, the way that I built these undead is that you kind of have a massive benefit, but you also have a massive detriment. So, well, for most of these, yeah, for like the ghost, you have no gut. That consumable potions and healer's kits have no effect on you. You are incorporeal, but you also have a built-in resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. So you are actually a bit more tanky, but you just can't wear armor. You can not wear armor. You can't use potions. And the one that has been, the shadow. I'm very, very proud of the shadow, especially that parasite cloak. Of when you get dropped unconscious, you can attach yourself to somebody, and then the next round you can deal a little bit of damage and regain consciousness. Very, very handy. But the let's see, where was it? Oh yeah, the skeleton damage, vulnerability, bludgeoning. But if you drop to 0 hit points, you automatically stabilize. There's no death saving throws unless it was from a magical or critical hit. But the one that's been driving me absolutely crazy is trying to figure out how to do this stupid will-o-wisp. Because you can't wear or carry anything. So, no armor, no weapons, but you're an adventurer. How does that work? I'll give you a hint. Unarmed strikes. So, given the fact that you get +3 dex and +1 wisdom, monks would be very, very nice as a will-o-wisp, or the will-o-wisp would be very nice as a monk, or an aberrant mind sorcerer, because aberrant mind sorcerers can spend sorcery points to cast spells, and you don't use. Oh, that's right. I changed it. Yeah. It used to be that you couldn't use the somatic components for spells. I took that off. So you can cast spells, they just can't have a material component.
I'm going to ask an embarrassing question. Part of this podcast is to learn, and I definitely don't know everything. Will-o-wisp is a fey creature, correct?
It is classified as undead, but in many mythologies, they are. In the monster manual, they are classified as undead. They are the souls of people who have died in swamps and bogs and whatnot, and they lead people off the path to their demise. Fae, there is in some mythologies, I suppose you could say that they are fae. There's a lot of overlap of fairy. Fairy lights is a different thing, but they are basically, we want to kill you by luring you away from where you're supposed to be. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
Okay, the undead explanation, totally get it. It's an embarrassing question. I should know this. Describe to me, what is the Fae? I just understand it as it's a magical area. It's a magical land.
So it really depends on your mythology. For Dungeons and Dragons, the Feywild, where the fairies Fae come from, is a different plane. So you have like your prime material plane, you have your lower planes, you have your higher planes, you have your mechanus, which is the plane of law and order. You have the Shadowfell, which is, I think, necrotic energy, maybe. But the Feywild is where you're going to find your Fey creatures. These are, this is your sprites and your quicklings and your, well, small creatures with wings that like, distracting people and playing pranks.
Okay.
Some of those pranks may or may not end up with someone dying, but that's life as a fairy. However, in real world mythology, I don't like with Celtic mythology and like that area of the world. The Fae are very much a real part of this world. They don't live on a separate plane. They just kind of live out of sight. You have brownies. You have brownies that are in your house that come and they might fix something unless you, if you leave them treats, then they might come in and fix your something that might be broken. They're just kind of a way to explain, oh, this thing was working yesterday and now it's not. It's like, oh, my vacuum was working perfectly fine yesterday, but now something broke it. Well, I might have offended the Fae, or there was a gremlin or something that was playing tricks and pranks on people. And for some people, this is a real thing, that paganism is not dead. That for some people, the fairies actually exist. And we're getting into esoterics and religions, so but I'm going to end it on that point. But yeah.
No, that I knew you'd know. I could just tell, so I appreciate the clarification.
You're welcome.
My goal is for this to be about an hour, and we're right around there. So I'll end it with my last question here, and then you can add on top of whatever. Is there any dungeon master advice, a cool idea, a cool one shot, something that you're like, hey, this idea is in my head. I tell people all the time they should be doing this, and anything you got, help out some listeners with a cool idea.
The first piece of advice I would say is listen to your players and set expectations. If my roommate, whenever he starts a new campaign, he sits everybody down and he pulls out a sheet for everybody and says, "What are you okay with?" And it's kind of it's called a content agreement form, and it's things like, I am okay, uncomfortable, and do not want on different topics, child violence or violence against children, rape, violence in general, or
Non-family friendly stuff.
non-family friendly stuff. How good are you with blood and torture and whatnot? And talking to your players and getting feedback on what they want and what they expect is absolutely key, because this is a social game. You're the storyteller, but it is not just, here's my idea and we're going to do it. It's a mirror. It's like it's a set of mirrors that are reflecting each other. That here's an idea, and then somebody takes it and tweaks it just a little bit and then sends it back to you. The Hydra that I mentioned, the DM intended us to have this massive boss fight, and we said, okay, this is something that you're giving us. We're going to take it in a in a very different direction. And there are any number of ways that things could go. I mean, I've heard stories of, people who you're supposed to fight the big bad evil guy. Well, no, I'm a Oath of Redemption paladin. I'm going to see if I can convince them to let this and such person go. And I'm going to try to convince them to, or it's my goal to bring them back to the light and try to redeem them. And so, yeah, you might not have a massive, fight as your final boss. It might be that you have a war of words as your final fight. So, yeah, definitely listen to your players.
There you go. All right. Anything else you want to add to the conversation?
Yes, actually. Very, very briefly. I mentioned that I play RuneScape, and I've been playing for quite some time. Well, around Halloween in 2000, I want to say it was 2011, RuneScape released a quest called Broken Home. It was a haunted house, manor on the hill, thunder, lightning, really, really cool stuff. Very, very Halloween stuff. And then a couple years later, there was a Redditor by the name of Talmore, Talmore, who came out with an adaptation for it in 5th edition. And this was it's a it's a 1 or 2 shot, depending on how long you want to make it go. And it was an absolute blast to run through. I immediately printed it off. I ran through it with my players, and they really enjoyed it. One of them was a shadow monk and just completely skipped one of the puzzles because they can teleport. But there were a handful of things that I ran into that were mechanically challenging because it was missing that polish. So if you can find the comment that I left on their post, I go through basically the entire module and say, this needs to be changed. I found that this room is actually missing something. So basically, I unsolicited errata. But definitely try it out. It is a module that can be slotted into any campaign. You don't have to know the backstory and lore of RuneScape, but it is definitely a ton of fun. I'm big on supporting small creators. So,
is that on the DM's Guild? Is that what I saw?
No, it is. Oh, actually, I did not realize that. Yeah, I think it might be. I've never been on DM's Guild. Not entirely sure what it is. I got it off of Reddit. Okay. You can find it on r/RuneScape is where I got it, but it's also released on RuneScape DnD, the r/RuneScape DnD subreddit. And it's a fairly small and inactive subreddit, so you should be able to find it fairly quickly.
Awesome. I'll definitely check that out. All right. David of Diablo to D&D, how do we find all this stuff?
You can find me at XenosFan2, that is XENOZFAN2 on Reddit and Twitter. And you can contact the channel directly at Diablo2DND, that is Diablo TODND on Twitter and YouTube.
You're the man.
And you can find the content files on the pinned post. Actually, let me double check to see if it's on my main profile. Yes, the content files link is on the Diablo to DnD profile, and it is a part of the profile on YouTube as well, on the No More section, I think, right there at the top. You do need to have a Microsoft account, which makes me very sad. I know Google Docs is probably better, but I do like working with OneDrive because I know Microsoft Word and I'm used to it, and I don't want to have to learn another system.
You know more than I do. I'm gonna actually see. Let's see. I am not signed in, and I thought I downloaded something because I saw you had posted that. Yeah, I know it's a pain, but okay, we'll leave it as you're right because you probably are right. I thought I got it without an account, but maybe I signed up. I'm a teacher and I've got accounts everywhere, so maybe I was
Got it
on my teacher account. All right, David, Diablo to D&D. I appreciate your time. Learned a lot. Super smart, super creative guy.
Thank you.